Morning, everyone. This is Brett Lewis from L4 Group, and today I have with me Steve Ohl, who is the president of RFO. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks. It's frigid out there, but other than that, I'm doing awesome. I'm sure it's probably a little colder where you're at as well.
Yeah, it definitely was cold.
Yeah. Um, so today we're going to go over a couple questions that we've had come in from actually a homeowner in Catasauqua, Pennsylvania, regarding heating oil delivery. But before we get into these questions, I wanted to have you, Steve, just give a little introduction about what RFO does and what you guys are all about.
Sure. We're a delivery company, and we also do service on heating systems. We deliver heating oil, um, propane, and kerosene, and we also service and install heating systems, whether that be natural gas, propane, oil, heat pumps. We even have done wood pellets. We do the full service and the maintenance.
Awesome. And you guys are not new to this business. You've been around for quite some time, right?
Yeah, this is our 31st year this year, so doesn't seem that long, but it started when I was a teenager working with my father in the business, so it's gone by pretty quick.
Very cool. Very cool. So, all right. So this is perfect because we got some questions that I know that you'll have answers to. So the first one is when you guys are filling up oil. A lot of times the tanks are inside houses. How do you know when to stop the fill?
Uh, every tank should have what's called a vent alarm installed to the outside of the home. So, as you're filling it, the air is displaced with the heating oil or kerosene, whatever you're pumping into the home, and then it forces air out the vent pipe, and it makes a whistling noise. If the tank is outside, you would have a similar setup, except it might not be a long pipe. It only may be a 6-inch or 10-inch pipe nipple in the top with a vent alarm installed. And you would typically fill the outside tank while watching the gauge at the same time, just to know when it's coming near full. Um, and then if you were filling propane, it would have a tank gauge and a liquid level on the tank. So it'll actually spit a little propane out of the tank when it's full, and you only fill a propane tank to about 80%.
Okay. All right. So now with oil tanks, if a customer is not on an automatic fill program, it's their responsibility to place the order, right?
Right.
Okay. So in that situation, um, the customer actually needs to rely on the oil gauge, or have a feel about how much oil they're going through. So, do you ever see issues with that, where maybe perhaps the oil gauge just isn't working right, or what kind of issues have you come across that?
Yeah, it's pretty common that the oil gauges aren't accurate. I mean, the best way I can say it to customers is, you get to know your home, and you get to know the way you use the oil if you're going to call, and allow at least um, an eighth of a tank on the gauge site level as error, because there's older gauges out there that had cork uh, floats on them, and they get saturated. The newer gauges have some kind of a synthetic material, whether it be some type of plastics that's oil resistant or something, and that's not as much of an issue. But you could have busted sight gauges, particularly outside. When we go to deliver to a lot of homes, you'll see they have a coffee can, which that's coming a thing of the past. You don't see too many coffee cans anymore. Uh, or plastic buckets or things over top of the sight gauge, because eventually the sun and the cold and the heat will deteriorate the plastic sight gauge, and it'll break, and you get water in there, and it can freeze and pop the sight glass. So, using the gauge is not a foolproof method, but most homeowners, it's like, the older cars, the gas gauges weren't always accurate. If you ever drove a car from the 60s and 70s, you go around the corner and it would slosh. The new tanks, or however they figured that out, don't seem to do that. But um, that's the same issue. You just kind of gauge it as you're using it. If you're going to be a low call customer, and call between half and a quarter of a tank, that way you're definitely sure you can have it in there. I mean, ultimately, most companies want a minimum 150-gallon delivery, so you might have to figure that out the first time where your actual delivery gauge is at.
Awesome, awesome. Do you ever run into issues where you have to actually replace the gauge? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's. I mean, typically the site gauges, if the tanks are outside, that's a common thing, and you have to replace those site gauges every few years if you don't have something covering it. And the gauges on an outside tank aren't too bad to replace. If you have to replace the whole entire gauge because there's not really much piping hooked up to it. But if it's inside a home, you're going to have a 2-inch vent pipe hooked up to the gauge plus a fill, or coming into the house, but that wouldn't be hooked up to the gauge. But you'd have to take the piping apart. Most times you do, and then it's a little bit more of an expensive fix than just um, you know not having the gauge function properly. But um, if you're on automatic delivery, it's usually not an issue. If the gauge is off a little bit or not, because we take care of all that, and most oil companies will have some type of a monitoring system back at the office with their software. So you can always ask, do you have software to monitor this, or are you just kind of winging it? There's some companies that I think still kind of wing it on little note cards and stuff, but I prefer to use the monitoring services that are available with the weather, and we don't have runouts. I mean, we're so confident in our not running out on auto delivery. We have a $125 guarantee, basically guarantee that if you run out, we'll give you a $125 credit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Cool. So back to the questions here. Another one that they posed was, what are some of the typical problems that your oil delivery men encounter when they're out delivering oil?
In the wintertime, it could be a lot of things under the snow. I mean, we've seen boards with nails in them under the snow, and people were doing construction, and they just kind of stopped the project and let things lay around, not thinking what was going to happen. There's stuff blocking the path to get to there, whether it's somebody who's working on a car in their yard, or they weren't thinking and they built a dog pen there. There's a lot of things we run into. Um, you know, Vent, or they tied a dog up with a chain that's long enough to reach the vent pipe, so that kind of keeps the oil guy, from delivering. The vent whistle blocked is common. We'll run into that. We start to fill, and there's no whistle coming out of the air vent, so we have to stop filling, and that could be, a bug's nest got in there. Some bees decided to move in there and build the nest. There's different things like that can happen. The other big thing that we used to run into, it's not as common anymore, but it still happens every once in a while, is plastic vent pipe and fill pipes. That's not up to code. It should be a metal black pipe. Typically, there'll be a 2-inch vent and a 2-inch fill pipe. So there were some instances where contractors installed plastic, but those should be replaced, and your oil dealer should be notifying you to replace them. Every once in a while we'll run into that yet.
Right, right. Okay. And I'm going to piggyback on that. Do you have any kind of funny, shocking, crazy type stories that you guys experienced over all these years of delivering oil?
Yeah, one of my favorites was, my dad was a heating oil delivery guy in the 70s during the oil crisis, and he would always tell us a story about going into a couple homes with every other step missing to make deliveries because they had actually burned the steps to keep warm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was kind of a shocker when you think about it. But I mean, uh, I remember I was only a few years old when the oil embargo was going on back in the 70s, so I don't really remember a lot of what was going on. But I definitely remember everybody conserving, and lines at the gas pumps, things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
we've pulled some weird things out of furnaces when we've been on calls. Snakes and bats caught in the electrodes. They either came up through the furnace somehow and got into it, or the bat might have come down the chimney and got just shocked in the electrode and died. We've gotten fill and vent pipes through the wall with no connections. We always have a policy of a new customer. Every home has to be inspected. We don't charge for that. It's just more of a comfort with the homeowner and with us to make the delivery. So we'll go inside and inspect all the piping, and we've gone to homes where new homes, and there was a fill and a vent pipe, and it was hacked off, and it wasn't connected to anything. And they didn't even realize that. They had bought the home, and apparently people before them had done something, or a rental home. So we run into that. Um, Another one that's I've actually seen. I was out on a call helping drag the hose. That was my job when I was younger. Is go out and help in the snow and drag the hose. And we came to this home where a homeowner had installed a new system himself, and he actually put the fill or the oil on one side of the house and the vent on the other. So it was possible to fill it because you can't be in two places at once. So yeah, we run into that every once in a while, but for the most part, everything's pretty good when you get to the people's homes.
Awesome, awesome. So just to wrap up, now you guys don't just do heat, oil delivery, fuel delivery, and heating systems. You guys also are involved in other stuff. Do you want to share with our homeowners, the full breadth of what RFO does?
Sure. In addition to heating oil, propane, and kerosene delivery, we also deliver on-road diesel fuel and we deliver off-road diesel fuel. We have a full-service heating and cooling system installation uh, and repair team. We offer maintenance plans, maintenance agreements. We offer all types of different monthly payment plans for um, uh, oil and propane deliveries and kerosene. We also have great financing opportunities for new installations of systems and replacement systems. We have a full line hearth and patio showroom where we have fireplaces and space heaters and natural gas, propane, and wood pellet on display. We also have all of our heating system brands and cooling system brands on display that you can come in and see what they're going to look like in your home. We have on-demand water heaters that you can see. We have contractable awnings that we install in people's homes. We also have patio furniture, barbecue grills, a full line of wood smoking chips, and we also have salsas and spices, things like that. So yeah, if you want to come down and check it out, it's a great place to come in and get to see some different things that you may not normally see at a heating oil and propane delivery company.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And if they do want to come and check you out, want to give everybody your address, your web address, and all that stuff, so that way they know how to reach you.
Sure. We're located on Route 209 in Lehighton, right next to Wentz Auto Body. The address is 400 Interchange Road, Lehighton, PA. And our web address is www.rfohl.com. You can go on there and contact us through Facebook and Twitter. You'll see links on there. You can also email us. The email is info@rfohl.com. You can give us a call on the phone, 610-377-1098. You can just drop on by and talk to one of our customer service people. We'll be glad to help you out.
Very cool. And one last thing before we wrap up. Let everybody know what your service area is, because you're based in Lehighton, but you cover a large service area in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we cover approximately a 50-mile radius of Lehighton, which encompasses approximately 82 zip codes. We also service most of the 5 counties: Harbin County, Lehigh County, Monroe County, Northampton County, and did I miss one? Lehigh.
Schuylkill. Schuylkill, right?
Schuylkill, yeah. And we touch on parts of Berks and Luzerne also. So yeah, if you're looking for a service that we provide, just give us a call, and if you're within our area, we'll definitely help you out. If not, we'll try and recommend somebody that we may know in the industry for you to give you help.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Steve, thanks for taking time out today to answer some of these questions, and I'll be talking to you soon.
All right, thanks.
All right. Take care.